A question that I get all the time is how much money does it take to start an online store? And so what I wanted to do is take a moment to share with you the costs that are involved in starting an online store, because there are costs that are, you can call them hard costs, and then there are variable costs. And then there's other things where if we put more money, then we can accelerate our success. And there's a few different dynamics here, but ultimately what I want to share with you is the ways that we can start an online business with a shoestring budget, or if we have more funds available, what we would want to do with those funds to accelerate our success. And so, because I get asked this question all the time, how much money does it take to start an online store? I thought I'd take a moment here with you guys, do some free live training like I do every Thursday, 10 o'clock, and share my insights with you guys here. So let's dive into it by explaining those first two factors, the hard costs versus the variable costs. Now, hard costs are costs that you cannot escape. They are there. You got to pay them if you want to get into this business. The good news is that these hard costs are very, very little, and it should be affordable for anybody. If you're thinking about starting a business, then let's hope that you know that it's going to take a bit of cash to get going. But one thing with e-commerce is that I really believe that it is the easiest and least risky business to be able to start. And I'm going to explain why in terms of the ease of getting started and the low risk of getting started. Now, largely the low risk actually comes from the fact that you can start on a very small budget, on a shoestring budget, because at the very least, all you would need to cover is these hard costs, the costs that are unavoidable. So there are only two hard costs that you need to consider if you are coming into e-commerce and you want to start a business, you want to start an online store, and you don't have massive funds available, or you want to do it economically on a shoestring budget. Well, those two hard costs are your hosting costs and the cost of the website. Now, the hosting cost is what you would pay your domain registration company for having your websites online. Now, this kind of ties in nicely with the conversation of the website costs, because these two go hand in hand. If you are building on one of the two most popular platforms in South Africa, the only two that I recommend being WordPress with WooCommerce or Shopify, then it's different, because with Shopify, you do pay for your website monthly, but that payment includes your hosting fees. So you don't need to pay hosting on top of that. The other side of it is that if you went with WordPress and WooCommerce, then that platform fee is actually zero, which is amazing, but you then need to pay for your hosting. Now, hosting is pretty cheap. You can get it for like 89 Rand a month, maybe 99 Rand a month, depending on who your provider is. But less than $100 a month should be doable. So if you're going with WordPress and WooCommerce, then you don't have an upfront fee for the website, but you do then need to pay the hosting fees on a month-to-month basis. The other side of it, I mentioned Shopify, there is a monthly fee. And that monthly fee, well, for everybody else in the rest of the world, it's $29 a month. Or if you come through in soccer, then you can get it for a cool $19 a month. And that is a special rate that we've been able to arrange for South Africans. So I love to share that with you guys, because $29 a month, that's kind of stretching, but $19 a month, I reckon, is very worthwhile. And you're paying for ease of use, for customer support, for live chats and instant assistance. And I like to think that I love that platform. So I'm glad that we were able to get that deal. And it's also interesting to know that you can absolutely build the website yourself, and stick around to the end, because I'm going to talk more about that. Because you could, I suppose, you could pay an agency, a website developer, 30,000 Rand, 40,000 Rand, 100,000 Rand. Geez, I paid 650,000 Rand for a website before, and I didn't actually like the website. Yeah, lots of lessons learned in that experience. But the thing is that you can pay a website developer to build the site for you, or you can do it yourself. And the thing is that companies like WooCommerce, like Shopify, they make it their mission to make it as easy for you to build the website as possible, so that you can get started selling online, you can make some money, and then you're going to stay with them. So it serves their best interest to make it as easy for you as possible. And at the end, I'm going to share some tips and some free training that I'm offering on how I'm going to show you to build your own free website. Let's stick around. So those are the hard costs. The website hosting fee, which is for if you're on WordPress or WooCommerce, or if you're on Shopify, $19 a month, and that does include your hosting fee, so you don't have to pay that on top. Now, of course, there is one other thing that when you're getting started, there's a hard cost. It's like a once-off thing, or it's an annual, actually, an annual renewal of purchasing a domain name. Now, purchasing a domain name is something that you don't have to do, but I do strongly recommend that you do it. Now, a domain name, it's your URL. So, like www.insaka.co.za, that's our domain name. And for that, I think we pay like, is it 79 Rand a year? So we do that through Xnilo. You purchase the URL, nobody else can use it, it's yours. And then if you want to keep using it year after year, you just pay your 79 bucks. So that's not, again, it's not too expensive. It's not going to break the bank, and it gets you in the game. Now you're started, now you're ready to rock and roll. So those are the fixed fees. That's a bare minimum. So if you're on a shoestring budget, you're trying to do it economically, that's all you got to think about. Your hosting fees, your website fees, and purchasing a domain name. And really, you're then in the game. And you can then go from there without having to go and get any other fancy budgets or anything else. But there are variable costs. So now variable costs are costs that only are incurred when you start to do business, when you get sales. So this is kind of like a good problem to have. Like when you get a sale, you need to pay the cost of the courier. And you can also get your customer to pay to cover the cost of the courier, but there's a cost. So now you need to book the parcel, send it to your customer. There's a cost involved. Whether you cover it or your customer covers it, that cost exists. It's a variable cost because you only incur that cost when you have a successful transaction. And similarly, you're going to have transaction costs. So these are also variable costs. When you have a successful purchase, a customer orders something from you, then the payment processing company like PayFast, Paygate, all the other good payment gateways, they then charge you a percentage of that. And that's their fee for processing the payment. Fair enough, it's what they're doing, and we can't really operate without them. So we set it up, and companies like PayFast, there's no monthly fee, there's no setup fee up front. So you set up your account and you pay nothing until you get a sale. So it's a variable cost. When you get sales, then there's a fee. And Shopify, depending which plan you choose, there may also be a transaction fee that goes along with that. So that's worth keeping in mind. Other variable fees to consider is things like packaging, because now you're going to send your parcel to your customer. You need to put it in a box. You need to put a bit of bubble wrap. You need to get some tape, and you need to maybe print out some labels. So there's like all these little costs that they don't add up to too much, but we need to be aware of them because they are part of the process. And as you start to grow your business, you may start to look at services and applications that make your life easier, that streamline your business. And of course, I'm not going to go into all of these, but these are certainly variable costs that you don't need in the beginning. But as your business grows, you may choose to go for a company like Africa, which helps you to dispatch your orders quicker, cheaper, and better. Or you may choose to outsource your warehousing, in which case somebody else takes care of all your inventory for you. But those are things that can be considered later on. They are variable costs, certainly not needed in the very beginning. But if you want them, then just keep that in mind in terms of maybe cost to consider as you start to grow your business. And then, of course, like I can't forget like rent. If you are renting a space, but hey, this is e-commerce, you don't need to. You could start from your home, from your parents' bedroom, from your garage, from your laptop on the couch in the evenings. Like you can do this without having to pay rent or to rent an office or to get a warehouse or a stockroom in the beginning. So these are all things to consider, but not necessary costs at the beginning. So two things that I get asked a lot about in terms of costs and money and capital required to start a business is inventory and marketing. So inventory, like purchasing products to sell on your website, how much money do you need? And at the same time, like how much money do you need for marketing to grow your business? The answer is, how long is a piece of string? No, the answer is it depends. It depends on a lot of factors. Because marketing, when I started my business, I didn't have money for marketing. I had 8,700 Rand of funds. That's all the money I had to my name. And I took that 8,700 Rand and I bought inventory. And I then took that inventory, I put it on my website, and I marketed it through going on forums, joining groups, chatting to people, going to events, or reaching out to my personal network. And that's how I marketed those first products, and I was able to sell them. Then when I sold them, I made profit. So I got the money of the cost of the product back and some profit. And then I went and I bought more stock and I sold that and started to build that up. And from 8,700 Rand, within the first 3 years, we hit our first 1 million Rand month and then grew that business to doing over 22 million Rand annual revenue. And that is totally possible. And I can say with certainty that it's totally possible for you to do that without marketing budget. And I can say that with certainty because I did it myself. So it's the longer road. It's slightly more difficult, but it's totally possible. The proof is in the pudding. I've been there myself and I've done it. And just talking about inventory, like how much do you need in terms of buying inventory? Well, again, the good news is that you can do it with very little today because dropshipping is becoming more prolific, more available, and totally more of an option. And I teach my premium students exactly the nuances of how to do dropshipping in South Africa. And last week, I actually did a Thursday 10 o'clock live on the topic of dropshipping. So if you want to hear my in-depth explanation of how to make that work, then go and watch that training video. So the good news is that, and I think the theme that you might be picking up here, is that it can be done on a very small budget. But if you have more capital available to you, then you can do more marketing, you can buy more inventory, and you can accelerate your success. But we can do this on a shoestring budget. I did it myself, and I will teach so many of my students to do it too, in terms of using the smart actions, working smart, not working hard, in terms of doing the right things and not just beating your head against the wall, hoping that something's going to work. I teach my students exactly how to do that. And at the beginning, I said that e-commerce, starting an online business, it really is the easiest and the least risky business for you to start. And the reason I say that is because it's low risk based on the fact that you can start on a small budget. And if you were to start like a retail store in a shopping center, you're going to have to, think about it. Geez, you're going to have to sign like a 1-year lease, 2-year lease, 3-year lease. You're tied into paying that rent for a long time. And that rent is expensive. You then need to go and before you even open your shop, you need to go and buy inventory to fill the shelves. You need to buy like window fittings and shop fittings and countertops and point of sales and shelves and lighting. And oh my goodness, you got to invest like R1 million into getting your shop ready before you even open your doors on day one and start making money. That is a risky situation, my friends. That is a situation that I would never put myself in unless if the situation was perfect and I knew it was going to be a winner. But if you look at e-commerce, you can start by registering a domain, paying your hosting fees, building your website, and getting yourself in the game because you can then put your products on the internet, get them in front of customers, and start to generate that money. You can open your shop without having to pay the R1 million up front, like you would with a retail investment. So the risk is way lower because if it didn't work out, you haven't bet your entire house, your entire wealth on that business. It is low capital to get started. And I also said it's the easiest business to get started. And I say that because you can start your business with the tools available to you right now, with the training that I'm sharing with you guys right now. And in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be doing something that I only do once a year. And that's my free training, the 5-day challenge, where I show you guys how to build your own e-commerce store. And if you are interested in learning how to do that for yourself, and I'm going to show you that it's way easier than you might think, that you definitely expected, then pay attention and look out for invites coming out in the next few days. That's happening the week after next, and I only do it once a year because it is really cool and I want to help as many people as possible. So I just do it once a year, make myself available to support you guys. It's just 30 minutes a day. And even if you have no prior experience, you can join live, you can ask me your questions, and you can make it happen for yourself. And ultimately, if you think that this is too difficult or something that you might not be able to do, then this is perfectly for you because I want to prove to you and show you that you totally can do it. And you're just gonna have to join me to see how that goes because it really works like a dream. And we've helped thousands of people to build their stores as part of this free training that I only do once a year. So nothing to do right now. I just wanted to share some insights into the cost of starting your online store. And now you know that it is the easiest and least risky business for you to start. And if you're interested in starting, then pay attention to what I'm going to be sharing next week in terms of an opportunity for you to join me for that live free 5-day challenge. It only happens once a year. Look out for next week, and I'll share some information about that then. See you.